Hello all. Good evening to all of you. I'm Prabha here. I'm Prabha Krishna. I'm one of the senior therapists of Yoga Bharati.
Can others please disable your videos, please? Sharada, somebody please disable your videos. Kindly disable your video. Suchitra, I will make you a co-host. Can you disable the videos, please? Yeah, thank you. All have been unmuted.
Yeah. So hello all. I'm Prabha Krishna here from Yoga Bharati.
And Vijaya Hariharan.
And we both have known each other for about 20 years to say exactly. We met in a yoga conference in Prashanti, which is our yoga university. And that's where our connections have developed. And we have been colleagues for about 17 years to say exactly, maybe 16 to 17 years. So I would say that yes, today's session is more about two friends and two colleagues in the field of yoga discussing, and also IDY coming soon on Sunday. This is also has become one of our IDY event. And this year the IDY theme is yoga at home, yoga with family. As you all know, the present situation is it's the government, the Ayush government has really felt the need that everyone needs to kind of develop an emotional balance, and yoga at home is very, very important. So the talk show today also is all about both of us discussing. And right now we will not be answering any questions, so please reserve your questions. Anything, if we have time, we will do that. So this, please, I'm sure during the 1 hour or 45 minutes you would get some clarity. And if you are not getting clarity, we are having more and more satsangs. I'm sure you will get it. So over to Vijaya to start the prayer.
Yeah, namaste to all. Sit comfortably, back straight. Those sitting in the chair also sit comfortably. Fingers in chin mudra, thumb touching the index finger, palm on your thighs. Let the eyes be gently closed. Awareness on the whole body. Check that your posture is comfortable. Bring the awareness to the breath. Watch the breathing for a few rounds. Just observe the normal breath. Let us start the session with 3 rounds of Omkara. Each time you breathe in, as you breathe out, continue with the Om chanting. Inhale. Now bring the palms together in Namaskara Mudra. We'll start the session with one Omkara followed by the Sahana Bhavatu. Those of you who know the prayer, continue the chant. Others can just listen to the chanting. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently bow down. Take the blessings from the God of your choice, from a higher consciousness. May He protect us both. May He nourish us. May our study be fruitful. May there be no hatred in us. Om, peace, peace, peace. Gently release your palm. With a few blinks, open the eyes. Now, like as Prabha mentioned, this year's the theme of the International Day of Yoga is Yoga for the Home and Yoga with the Family. So, and the prayer which is selected as the opening prayer also suggests that may we all live in harmony. May we work together in harmony. Yeah, may our mind also be in sync with each other. So let us repeat the prayer. You can keep your palm in Chin Mudra, palm on your thighs. Let us all chant one Omkara together. Om. Sangachadvam samvadadvam. Sangachadvam samvadadvam. Samvo manasi janatam. Samvo manasi janatam. Deva bhagam yata purve. Deva bhagam yata purve. Sanjanana upasate. Sanjanana upasate. Sanjanana upasate. Sanjanana upasate. So let us all ensure that we in the family are cordial with one another. We respect each other, give the space that is needed for one another to grow. So with that, let us start the session. Prabha.
Yeah, so now we'll start the session with a simple mindful practice. So all of you, wherever you're sitting on a cot or on your chair or wherever you are, just sit comfortably, keep your back straight. So that's it. That's what I want from all of you. And keep your eyes closed gently. First, allow yourself to be conscious of your body. Be conscious of your shoulder. Relax your shoulders. Facial muscles and a beautiful smile. Become aware of your breath also. Just become aware. Now interlock the fingers and place it in front of your chest. Keep your elbows tucked closer. Feel the connection of the fingers there. I want you all to sensitize your awareness. Even though you might know the practice, you are going to be listening to my instructions. Hand stretch breathing with absolute mindfulness. As you inhale, slowly stretch your arms forward. Palms are outward, elbows are straight, as comfortable as you can. And as you exhale slowly, you're going to bring the palms back to the chest and elbows close. So again, become aware. All of you gently close your eyes. Inhale, stretch your palms forward till you're comfortably inhaling. Exhaling, slowly bring your palms back, elbows collapse. Breathe in, bring your palms, stretch it completely. Exhale, bring it back on top of your chest, elbows collapse. Just become aware the after effect of this practice. How is your breath? Is there any haphazardness? Just check it. Be mindful. Now on the next inhalation, stretch your arms little bit above you, little bit like a diagram movement. Exhale and slowly you can bring the palms back to the chest and elbows close. See how fast you're doing, that means your mind is also running fast. So slow down the movement and inhale to your capacity. Stretch, exhale to your capacity very slowly, inch by inch, you're bringing it back to the chest and collapsing your elbow. Breathe in again. Stretch, feel the stretch on your fingers, your wrist joint, arms. Exhale, everything is relaxed. Palms still on top of your chest. Become aware of the breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. In the next inhalation, vertical stretch. Slowly you can touch your nose. Maybe you can feel that you are touching the nose, forehead, stretching up. And exhaling, slowly turning your palms inward, slowly drawing a line and bringing it back to the chest, elbows forward. Just be there for a few seconds. Inhaling, stretch. If you feel inhaling longer time is very uncomfortable, normal breath. Exhaling, slowly. Don't be in a rush. Slow down the movement, slow down the breath. Breathe in. Gently breathe. Let's keep the palms again and release only the palms, but still keep your eyes closed. Just observe this practice. Check how you feel after this practice. Is there any calmness in the mind? Is there any reduction in the speed of your breath? Do you feel good? Gently, whenever you're ready, blink open your eyes. See, such a simple practice like this itself brings about a change in us. So you can do this practice whenever you feel that you have an emotional turmoil, or you feel that, okay, I'm kind of stressed right now. My boss is giving me a lot of things. And you just want to sit on your chair and just do some mindful breathing like this. It itself will help you to calm down, and it will help you to bring clarity in your mind. Most of the time, what happens is your mind is just full of chatter in the mind that you're not able to get clarity. So Vijay, anything you'd like to say regarding this?
Yeah, Prabha. See, can I kindly ask you to stop your video, please? We are recording the session, so we don't want another person coming in between. Thank you. Yeah, Prabha, this is a very good practice because, you are stretching your arm in raising your arm in 3 different directions. So what is happening is it is helping you to release.
Vijaya, I think your sound is not heard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Prabha. So this is, I feel, a very useful practice because though it looks very simple, it gives a lot of stretch around the shoulder, your upper back. And then at the end of the practice, when you're releasing, as you feel watch the slowing down of the breath, you can actually feel that calmness. So actually, a lot of my students have told me that, you know what, whenever I feel tensed, I just sit quietly in a chair and then do my hand stretch breathing continue for up to 5 rounds. And the end of it, feel very calm, and then I can continue with whatever I'm doing.
Okay, great, Vijaya. So let me ask you the first question of today's session, like a Saki Saheli here. We'll keep discussing and sharing our points. The first question I would like to ask you is, how do you start your day? And what is your daily abhyas so that people, participants here could get inspired and get some ideas?
Yeah, see, normally, like as a yoga practitioner and as a yoga teacher, what we normally would like to do is first thing in the morning, we would want to do our abhyas. But the time when I started my abhyas, that was say almost 20 years back, even before that, my kids were small. So though I would want to do my abhyas early in the morning, it was not possible. So what my routine used to be was, yes, you start my day normally with a positive resolve, saying that, yes, it's a beautiful day. So let my day also go peacefully. Yeah. So then, and normally I would like to start the day with doing some prayers or chanting. But since I can't sit and do it because people are going to college and then office, you are in the kitchen right from the time you get up. So what I normally do is I put on a recording of my favorite bhajan or favorite prayer, and that goes on in the background. So what I'm doing is, along with my whatever activity that I'm doing, I'm able to do my chanting also along with. So that way I'm calm, I'm not in a rush, I'm not also bothered as to, oh, I'm not able to do my practice. Because as we all know that yoga is not just doing your asanas or pranayama, it is also maintaining that calmness in whatever activity you do. But thanks to this COVID situation, Prabha, I think I've been able to fulfill my wish of doing my practice early in the morning, because everybody were working from home. So I used to get up, and since in Bangalore the school timing used to be early morning, my kids would leave home by 7 o'clock. So I had to wake up by 5 o'clock and ensure that their tiffin and lunch, everything is prepared, and they are out of the house to catch the bus at 7. So that is practice has been on, and I get up by 5, 4:45, 5 as a regular practice. And it's been a blessing that I've been able to do my practice in the morning and then continue with whatever work I'm able to do. So that is what,
yeah. If you don't get, for example, do you combine your pranayama as well as your yoga abhyas together, or you kind of cut it because of lack of time? You say, okay,
sometimes if I don't get time, like it's something in a rush. So what I do is, depending on how I feel that day, either I might do some stretches, like how you did the hand stretch breathing and the side bending or the twisting. Or I might, if I'm calm, then I might feel that, okay, let me do my pranayama only for today. So I'm happy that I've done my abhyasa. Not that, okay, only if I do my asana, I'm doing my yoga practice. No. Yeah, yoga is all about calming down the mind. So any practice which is helping me to calm down, I do that. So what about you?
So what I do is, when I wake up first thing in the morning, of course, after freshening up and all that, I have always developed a habit of, at least 15 to 20 minutes of mindful breathing. I mean, whatever I do is every day, of course, my yoga asana abhyas happens. But what I do is, 1 second, let me stop for video. And what I do is my pranayama or the mindfulness breathing, I do it either in the morning or in the evening time, and do not combine it along with my yoga abhyas time, because yoga asana abhyas time, because it kind of, the timing is, clashes because the kids come back. So that what I make sure that there is always a combination of pranayama as well as yoga asana abhyas. In case I feel that a day has been too tight, then actually I lie down for a yoga nidra. I listen to one of my colleagues' instructions, and I actually enjoy that yoga nidra, and never feel guilty that, oh, I have never done it, because I feel, okay, today is a day I need to relax. So that is, I think, is very, very important to listen to our body signals and then do what is important. So
I also completely agree with that. Listen to the body, how you feel, how the mind is, because the mind has an influence on the body, right?
Yes.
So again, listen to your mind and then do the practice accordingly. Yeah, Prabha, see, normally, like when we are talking about mind, they say the mind is very chanchal, right? Keeps wandering. There are so many thoughts. Even when we are talking, maybe people who are listening, who might be sitting here listening to us, but still maybe there are thoughts in the mind. So how do we manage this chanchalta which is there in the mind?
So it's a very interesting thing, Vijaya. I was just, when I was doing some psychology courses, it was, the scientific fact which was mentioned, that is, of course, we know that the parts of brain, each part of the brain has functions. But it seems there is one part of the brain which has a default thing, that it is always on all the time. So this is called as a default network. So this default network is what is like we human being, the species of human area, this thing are the only unique people where we can think about the future, about the past, as well as about the present. So if you ask my dog to think what did he do yesterday or in the morning, I'm sure he will not know. So we are a very unique species. So what happens is mind wandering happens most of the time. So even maybe when you are talking, maybe my mind might wander. Okay, what should I ask the next question? Maybe I'm waiting for that. So it seems psychologically, the psychologists have done a lot of studies, and they have found out that almost 40% of the time, our mind is wandering. So now the mind is wandering. So then what to be done about it? Are we going to be hating ourselves? My mind is always wandering. Are you going to berate yourself saying that, why am I like this? Why am I so restless? So instead of putting ourselves down, we need to accept that it is a default network, and how we can harness our mind should be our goal. Studies have again found out that by just every day training little bit of your time just by directing your attention to your breath or to your bodily sensations or to some sound of any mantra or anything you would like to chant. So those or just bringing your attention to a thought also. So very interestingly, so that it seems you're directing your attention to that. Thoughts might be running somewhere else, but you are directing yourself one-pointed awareness there. So it seems when you do that every day, many studies have found in our Prashanti Yoga University also that people are able to reduce that mind wandering and able to bring about harnessing. So anything you would like to add?
So that means you mean to say even the simple stretching and breathing that we do also is bringing our awareness from the, instead of wandering, it is bringing our awareness to what we are doing and reducing that fluctuations in the mind.
Yes.
Yeah, see, one more thing which I would like to add, very beautiful here. Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Arjuna asks Sri Krishna actually. Arjuna says to Sri Krishna, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. He says the mind is so chanchal. It is faster than the speed of the wind. Okay, so how do I control it? So Krishna says, yes, the mind is faster than the speed of the wind. So you can't control it. You have to learn to be a master of the mind. So what he says is that you have to do your abhyasa every day and also at the same time practice vairagya. So abhyasa and vairagya go together. So this is what I wanted to say. And I think as yoga practitioners, and we keep telling our students to let go, don't hold on to things, let go. This letting go is what is vairagya. So when we do this abhyasa and vairagya together, automatically the mind, the chanchalta in the mind reduces.
Yes, very, very true. Vijay, would you like to show people like what they can do once in a while to, a practice where it would help them to, bring about some harnessing of the mind?
Yeah, sure. So if all of you can sit comfortably. Now we all know that the breath that we take in is also called the prana because that is the life force and it is responsible for all the activities in the body. So here we are going to do a mindfulness practice where we are going to balance the breath flow throughout the body. Okay, so you can sit comfortably, fingers in chin mudra, eyes gently closed. Watch the breath for a few rounds. Just observe the changes to the breathing pattern. Now shift the awareness to the abdomen and watch the abdominal movement. You can keep one palm on the abdomen below the navel so that you're able to just observe the in-out movement of the abdominal muscles. Just watch the abdominal movement for a few rounds. Abdomen bulging out, sinking in. Now synchronize the breath with the abdominal movement. Inhale, exhale as slowly as possible. No jerk, no stoppage of breath. Slow, deep breathe in. Feel the abdomen bulging out. And as you breathe out, watch the abdomen sinking in. Inhale, abdomen bulges out. And exhale, it sinks in. Watch the abdominal movement and synchronize the breath with the movement. Now visualize that as you breathe in, the whole body is getting energized. And breathe out, feel the calmness. Slow, deep breathe in, the whole body is getting energized. And as you breathe out, let go. Let us chant 3 rounds of Akara. Each time you breathe in, breathe out, Akara chanting in a low pitch. Bring the awareness to the abdomen. Breathe in deeply. Let the eyes remain closed. Continue to feel the calmness after the practice. This practice is called the quick relaxation technique. As the name suggests, it helps you to relax quickly, calm down quickly. Now with a few blinks, open the eyes. So how was the feeling, Prabha?
It feels very good, Vijaya. So I always feel whenever I do mindful abdominal breathing, it helps me to calm down. If
Yes,
there is any tension in the shoulders, I feel I had a really tough day with too many things running in the mind. And when I just sit and do this simple abdominal breathing itself,
breathing.
it
Yes,
helps me to calm down. Whether I'm appearing before the stage or before the talk show,
yes,
before the talk show itself, I just sat for some time and did some mindful breathing so that
yes.
it helps me to calm down before addressing the public. And I
Yeah, yeah.
always tell moms and parents also to give this instruction to your child in case they're appearing before an exam. A lot of exams might be held now because things are settling down in some parts of India. So I heard JE is thinking and July and all those things. So maybe you can give this instructions to your children every day. Do it with maybe as a family or just before going to bed. That will help them to kind of relax their mind because they're also kind of feeling pressurized because of the expectations from the parents, from the society, and from the exam. So I think every day, each one of us do it. You
Yeah.
know what, Vijaya, very interestingly, I remember someone telling me that, Prabha, I'm still not old enough to do meditation. Let me grow
Okay.
60 plus. So then I'll start meditating. I don't want to meditate. I'm not ready for that. So maybe I want to go to Shirshasana. That is my goal. So, but I used to observe this person is there is so much restlessness in this person. So what I told that person is, okay, you maybe the term meditation, you think that maybe it is untouchable. Why don't we do this mindful breathing every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 5 minutes? Can you put a reminder in your mobile and do this every day? So thankfully, she listened to me, and I've seen this person getting much more calmer just by doing the simple mindful breathing. Can you imagine how
Yes.
wonderful is this practice?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I would like to add one thing that, see, people think meditation means just sitting quietly, doing a chanting or watching the breath or, using the japamala. Please, Kumarasamy, can you stop your video? Yeah, so, that they think that meditation is that. But, meditation is just being in the present moment. So if we can enjoy being in the present moment, that itself is a meditation. So I think we should remove from the people's mind the doubt that meditation means just sitting quietly, for 10 minutes without moving your body. So I think that myth about meditation has to be removed. So meditation is just being in the present moment. If you can enjoy doing whatever you're doing in the present moment, that becomes like a meditation.
Very true, Vijaya. So
Yeah.
moving over to my next question is, I think a very common condition which many of the people here might have, or they might see their friends having it, is people having headache,
Yeah.
either headache or migraine. Just like that, suddenly it just crops up. And it is so terrible that it is extremely discomforting for them. Either it could be a simple headache or absolutely stabbing kind of a headache like a migraine. So,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you have any tips for such people having this problem?
See, I will just talk about mild headache and migraine. Maybe I'll just give a tip, and maybe you could also add on to something. See, I would like to, point out this happened normally in my class. So I normally tell the participants that, when you come to the class, if you feel that you have a headache, don't immediately come sit in the class and start your practice, because with that your headache is not going to go. So what I normally, and then what, they're also smart, because in front of the class they don't want to tell that that I'm having a headache. So while entering, they will see that, oh, others are sitting quietly with their eyes closed. While entering only, she will be pressing her forehead like this, saying that I know, okay, that she's got a headache. Then what I normally tell her is, don't sit in the class, just if you can just do a slow walking. If you can just go out and walk slowly, not a brisk walk, just walk slowly. So what happens when you're walking is the, the mind, the headache which is there, tightened up prana which is in the mind, that is helping you to diffuse. And because while walking also you need energy in the lower limbs, so you feel better. And then what normally happens after maybe 5 minutes of walking, they just come and sit in the class and then continue with the practice. So this is what normally is proved, that, if you find that you have a headache and you don't know what to do, lying down doesn't help. So best thing is, in your house, just walk slowly as if you're doing a walking meditation, or you can do a slow drill walking. Prabha, you would like to do a slow drill walking?
Maybe later. Okay, my dog.
No, because
okay.
No,
yeah.
Just show them very slowly. It is as if you're doing it in the same place. Make a loose fist. Yeah, and loose fist, opposite arm and leg comes up. You also can, all of you also can do it if you want to do it. See, very slow. The movements are very slow. The drill walking should not be very fast. So even you can do the drill walking if you're okay with it. So this also helps to diffuse the, locked up prana, the tightness that you feel in the head slowly reduces and you feel better.
Yes.
Yeah, see, again, Prabha, one more thing which I thought maybe you could also share about it is, what normally they have found, and research also has found, is that improper digestion also can lead to headache.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So would you like to share something about it?
See, the indigestion, what happens is each type of headache is very unique. I have observed that.
Okay.
Because my mom also has this headache, she has this migraine. And I used to have, as a child, as a teenager also, this headache due to indigestion. So the indigestion headache is as if somebody is hitting you with hammer. It is that kind of this thing. And immediately you need to be mindful of what did you eat maybe about 10 hours ago. People used to think that, what I ate in the morning, I'm fine. I just ate idli or dosa. I'm fine. I don't think, okay. But yesterday you might have had chole. Or yesterday you might have had maybe cabbage, something which would have caused indigestion. So this is a kind of an indigestion, and what you need to do, you need to step back and allow the system to. And like you said, go for a light walk so that any indigested products which is there in the intestine helps, it starts getting time to digest well. Give a break. Even though it is lunchtime, it is just because of lunchtime, but you still have a pounding headache because of indigestion. It is not necessary that you need. So it's good to, take care of your body signals. Even in the migraine, very, very interesting is people who are having migraines, psychologically, if you find, they are sometimes perfectionists. That is itself is very interesting. I have seen participants having that. Such people, they're so perfect. That is the dabba has to be in this particular place. This thing has to be here. It has to be perfectly clean. Everything has to be meticulous. And they also expect others also to be doing that. Such people, they're so bound by this perfectionism, it kind of constricts their blood vessels, and to such an extent that such people also might get. But it also can be hereditary, some part is genes also. But such people also migraine if they just walk for some time, walking meditation in a slow manner. Even then, they expect perfectionism in walking. So that is correct. That is they have to let go basically. So by doing yoga nidra, by doing pranayama, simple restorative yoga, and keeping on telling their mind that I'm letting go. It's okay if the dabba is not in the same place. It's okay, my children or my spouse or whatever it is, they are not doing what I'm expecting. It's okay. Keep telling that, and such people slowly they come out of migraine.
Okay. So that's very nice. See, now normally when you talk about yoga, people normally feel that I have to do my yoga asanas, pranayama, some meditation practice. So, and then you have so many different types of yoga, right? Ashtanga yoga, vinyasa yoga, power yoga, nowadays dog yoga, bead yoga, all that. So sometimes you're confused as to what kind of a yoga should you practice. So would you like to throw some light on that?
Very interesting is, so people, like you mentioned, there is, people call me and ask me what kind of yoga do you do?
Yeah, do you do? And, correct,
I simply say that we follow the Patanjali Yoga, and they ask me, "Oh, Patanjali, Baba Ramdev." So I say no. That is, I'm not connecting to Baba Ramdev. I'm saying that the sage Patanjali, who is the father of yoga, so we follow his principles, whatever the Patanjali Yoga Sutras there. So I think each person has a particular constitution and as a character. So maybe I'm a person who might not like cardiovascular activity. I do not like it. So, but a person who loves this extreme cardiovascular activity always opt, if you would have seen a vinyasa yoga, or kind of where there is briskness. So, or a person who is much more calmer can select this. But what happens is such people who are so brisk doing a vinyasa yoga or anything, it slowly over the long run, it also it shows that they find some uneasiness and end up with some health issues, either with some weak knees or back, and then slowly then they shift onto this. So instead of shifting onto that, maybe right now itself they could join a session. They should not be on the understanding that yoga, if I join yoga I need to sweat. So that is what they say, Prabha, your yoga session I don't sweat at all. So I need to give explanation to the teacher that you don't need to sweat in a yoga class.
In yoga, okay.
So I think Raghuramji always says, isn't it, Vijaya, that always yoga should not be like a workout, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a working in.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. See, again here, like you said, people, a lot of, even we have seen cases where people are, into the gym or doing a lot of cardiovascular activities, and sometimes, they have collapsed in the gym itself.
Yes.
Not knowing. So what is it is they are not being aware of their body is giving them signals, but they are not aware of it.
Absolutely. Right? And there is where moderation comes into role, Vijaya. So very beautifully, Sri Krishna has told is Yukta Ahara Viharasya Yukta Cheshtasya Karmasu Yukta Swapnava Bodhasya Yogo Bhavati Dukkaha. So very beautiful. I like this very much whenever I give my sessions or my training sessions. This is what I keep telling people is you need to have a moderation, whether it's your diet or whenever your recreation ability, your resting time, or whatever work, your activity time, as well as in your sleep. So anything which is going in excess will result in some uneasiness either in the mind level or it manifests in the body level. So you can have a moderate diet. Hundreds of diet types have come: keto diet, Atkins diet, that diet. So people get confused, and there is always, let me try this, let me try that. It is like two types of dals are there. You want to try this dal and that dal, and you don't know what to do. So always remember, everyone, I would say that have a moderation. Okay, you are say and be have that knowledge that okay, I'm following this and make sure that you are having a thorough examination of whatever diet, and ensure that there is moderation in everything. Whether you are having this much of grains, this much of oil, or this much of cow's ghee, or whatever it is, everything in moderation. I think yukta ahara, there is yukta everything in either in your sleep. Don't sleep too much. Don't put too much activity. You continuously work without rest is also causes problems. And don't be always relaxed. That is also there. So that recreation should not go to such an extent that you end up with a state of laziness. Laziness also becomes a condition. So there needs to be, and sleep also, your sleep has to be very, very good to ensure that you follow a proper lifestyle, so that your sleep is also maybe according to your age. There is a moderation. You are a 70+ elderly person, and you can't expect that 8 hours of sleep. Maybe you might get only 5 hours of good sleep. But you are a youngster, you might need a 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So each age group has that limit, and please try to follow that. That will bring about moderation.
Yes, and very beautiful. It says yogo bhavati dukkhaha. So yoga becomes the destroyer of sorrow or pain.
Yes.
So if we can, if all of us can remember this, yoga is not just for a body. They say yes, yoga works at your body level, at your prana level, your mind level, your emotions. So it works at all these different levels. We are just not the body, right? Though we are having pain, something is telling us, Vijaya, no, today, some feeling slight stiffness around my right shoulder. I think I should not do a brisk practice. I should not be doing Surya Namaskara today. So there is something behind us which is telling us, right? So that is, what is that behind us? So it is our mind, it is our intellect which is telling us. So that yoga works at all these levels. Yeah.
Very beautiful, Vijaya. So, you know, actually, there is a stream of yoga called Jnana Yoga, that is a path of knowledge.
Yes,
So
yes.
can you share, like, why is this knowledge so important to us? And, like, what do we do after acquiring this knowledge?
Yeah, say, Prabha, it says that, you know, they say Vidya Dadati Vinayam. You know, the knowledge makes a person humble. So knowledge should not be that, you know, you are egoistic about this knowledge. You know, I have done this, I have known this, I have read so much about all the scriptures. You know, now that we are talking about yoga, that's why I'm mentioning about scriptures and all the different texts of yoga. So the ego factor should not come in. It says that with the knowledge, you should also learn to be humble. You should also know how to share this knowledge. That is very important. And I think, Prabha, that's what we have also learned from Raghuramji, right? Saying that, yes, the knowledge that you have learned, you also benefit with that knowledge only when you share it. Knowledge is not just, you know, you acquire knowledge and store it with you, not for just for your benefit. It should also benefit others. Yeah, so this path of knowledge is very beautiful. I thought I will just share with you the practices that we do, and then so that, you know, everybody understands what it is. Yeah, so now say in a yoga class we do Surya Namaskara. Correct. Now everybody wants to do Surya Namaskara, whether they are not aware of their body condition, though they know that I have a knee pain or a back pain or a tightness around my neck. They feel, no, Surya Namaskara is a good practice, help to keep my body flexible. Yeah, so it's very important to understand also that each and every practice, except for certain few breathing and stretching simple movements that we do, all the other advanced asana practices, Surya Namaskara, your Kapalabhati, which is a Kriya practice, all these have certain contraindications. So if we know the contraindication, saying that Surya Namaskara are not supposed to be done by people who have high BP, heart problem, or suffering a slip disc problem, correct? So if the knowledge is given to them.
During the menstrual cycle also.
Yeah, correct. Ladies during the menstrual cycle also, if the knowledge is given to them, saying that why this is not to be done, correct? Because when you're doing the Surya Namaskara, it's a flow which is happening. So you're stretching forward, you're bending down, head is going below the heart. Yeah, normally for people with high BP, they say you're not supposed to do any forward bend. So if we give them that knowledge, what I feel is the practice also enhances, correct? They also feel, yes, doing yoga is all about relaxation, calming down. If by doing simple stretching and breathing, certain simple twisting practices, I'm able to calm down, and it is helping my body also, because each body condition is different, right? So I think that is why knowledge is important. So that,
yes,
you know,
I remember Raghuramji talking about it, Vijaya, is knowledge just flows through us. So you remember in his Jnana Yoga speech, he always used to say that we never used to need to feel that, oh, I am having this knowledge. There is no I there. It's like from the divine, because of the grace of the divine, we are having that openness and we have got this knowledge, and it's just flowing through us and never in that point of time. Because I remember asking Raghuramji, how come you're always so humble? You have so much of knowledge. But I never see there is a point in life where I see that there is one ego coming into your life. Okay, let me teach you. Okay, don't you know this? So we always have this, you know, this small lines. Don't you know this also? We might tell our children or tell our friends or something. There itself an ego is coming that I know better than you. So that itself leads to ahankara actually. So very interesting,
So again, Prabha, in this path of knowledge, what they say is, suppose you are hearing something in the class and you are liking it about it. Oh, you wonder, like you talked about moderation, right? So you've heard about moderation, saying that moderation in all activities is going to help. So what does Jnana Yoga say is that you have listened to this moderation. So Shravana is listening. So you've listened to this, then you do manana about it. You keep thinking about it. Why did they say that moderation in ahara, vihara, your sleep? So how is it going to help? So you keep thinking about it. And then you contemplate on it. Try and make those changes and see if it is working for you. So that is how this path of knowledge works.
So I think, that's pretty good, you know, because now all the participants here, they are doing Shravana here.
Yeah,
so
correct.
After session, they need to do the manana and then the Nididhyasana has to happen. The contemplation has to happen in that way. Otherwise, I know it will be just a session. They were just heard and off their Zoom.
Yeah, yeah, correct. Now let's see, now that you said moderation, right? So what should be our mindset for our growth? Or see, all of us have ambition, correct? We all set a goal saying that, oh, I want to reach this or I want to do that, like that. But what should be our mindset when we are saying doing our work or in our career path? So what do you feel
Yeah, it's a very
about it?
interesting thing because I keep ensuring that I am also kind of being mindful. One
Yeah,
second, let me stop the video of someone. Yeah. So I'm being mindful of, okay, whether I have shifted from my mindset. So for
yeah,
this, let me just give a very beautiful, understanding between there are two types of mindsets. There is called a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Such a fixed mindset people, there is always, when we want to do some work, Vijaya, there is always thinking in my mind, okay, after the work is over, I need to get some appreciation, or I need to get some praise from some people or acknowledgement from people, or maybe if I'm doing work, maybe I need to get the proper bonus or the appropriate remuneration, or if I'm studying, I need to get that A-star grade. So that is a kind of an extrinsic motivation there. But there is a thing called of intrinsic motivation, that you feel that, okay, this is going to benefit me and I'm going to
okay,
learn throughout this process. And whether I receive acknowledgement or a praise or whatever it is, I'm going to enjoy whatever I'm doing. So the mindset of fixed mindset, such people, what happens? There is always the point of their priority always goes into the extrinsic motivation. That is, they always look that if I do this,
external,
yeah, if I do this, I hope to get this. Okay, if I do this, I hope. Okay, if I write this examination, for example, if any student is listening, I need to get this. If I don't get, I'm a hopeless person.
okay,
Or
yeah,
if
yeah,
so there is always an extrinsic motivation there. And such people are very interesting, Vijaya, is they don't take up challenges much. So if anything is more challenging, or if they don't receive that appreciation towards their work, they stop it, because they think that why I'm not receiving anything, there is no drive for me, I will stop it. So such people having a fixed mindset people, it is very difficult for them, to kind of to take on challenges and accept that, okay, if I don't get this, but it's a learning for me. So
okay,
exact opposite is such people with growth mindset. Now, very interesting is growth mindset, whether you enroll for a course or whether you are working, your attitude and work itself is very, very different. Whether it's to people, I say that, Prabha, I'm just a housewife. There is always just, because they always feel that I'm slogging in the kitchen and you are working and you're getting praise and I'm not getting praise. Why should I tell? You keep telling me no salt in this thing, no salt. I just receive only um, you know criticism from all of you. I don't have interest in work. So maybe such people could develop a growth mindset, thinking that, okay, let me do, because I enjoy doing it. Let me do, so I can try to enjoy doing this. So let me do, thinking that, okay, maybe cooking is a challenge for me, but let me take it as a challenge and let me try to work on my strengths here as well as work on my weakness points. So such growth mindset people know very beautifully, they take on challenges. They never
okay,
think that if I don't receive praise, I don't receive grades, or don't receive a higher salary, that they will stop. No, they will consider each and everything they do is a learning for them. Whether they are doing a simple, things in their office work or homework, housework, they will find that, okay, today the maid hasn't come, I am doing my bartan here. But there is the learn, oh, maybe this way I do it. So everything is kind of, they are at peace,
with
basically. They
themselves.
are,
So I think basically the attitude should be right, right? If you have the
absolutely.
right attitude in whatever you are doing. See, again, a beautiful shloka from the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna says that karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetur bhuma te sangatsva karmani. He says karmanyeva adhikarasya. So adhikara, we have the responsibility to do our work, right? So if all of us, it is not the right, the adhikara is not defined as right. It is the responsibility towards our work. So if we are responsible, we will ensure, right, we are doing it with the right attitude, with the joy that we are feeling inside. Now that you
Yes.
were talking about that washing of bartan, we also sometimes do the laughter yoga, right? Now this washing of bartan, the last 3-4 months has become so monotonous, right? You're washing in the morning, in the afternoon, evening, night, like that. So, what is said, so be in the right attitude. So what you do is you laugh when you're washing the bartan. So, the laughter, you add the laughter there, so it becomes like a laughter yoga.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I remember some people saying that, Prabha, you are saying that I don't expect the results of the action, then how will I get a drive? So
Yes.
the drive has to be intrinsic. It has to come from within
Yes,
you.
from within.
That,
Yes.
okay, this doesn't come out well also, but during the process of doing the work, what are learnings I got? So I think we should not get stuck up on the result there, but
Yeah.
during the learning. And isn't it wonderful that if we tell our children also the same thing, that it's
Yes,
not
yes.
necessary that I need to get this, the final result, but during the course of your education or
Learning.
whatever,
Yeah.
what learnings did you get? So
Sure.
that
Yeah.
is very, very important because I
Very
remember
good.
people like when I did MPharm and then I went into yoga, some people came and said, hey, wasted, full so many years of your time, 23 years of your life, MPharm you did, and you come to yoga? That is the attitude. And I always say that, no, I have gained a lot of information, lot of
Knowledge.
knowledge in this process. And I will
Yes.
use this knowledge maybe in the wherever. And I am using the science knowledge
Yeah.
where I am. So I think
Okay.
everyone should understand that gaining knowledge or doing any work, everything should go as a learn.
Yes. Yeah.
So
We can take it as a learning process.
yes,
Yes.
Vijaya.
Yeah.
And many people because of this they lose their sleep because they get so caught with the work.
Yes. Yes.
So it is like they're not able to have that restful sleep. So
Yes.
sleep insomnia has become a very common issue, as you would have seen your participants also sharing it. So
Yeah.
do you have any tips to tell them that how they can help for them to calm down so that they could have a restful sleep?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. See, now we did the today. What we did the hand stretch breathing. Yeah, 3 variations. We did the quick relaxation technique, awareness on the abdominal movement. So this is also helping you to balance the flow of prana throughout the body. So when you can slow down, yeah, because you're not getting sleep because the mind is restless. So with all these practices, when the mind calms down, automatically you are at peace and you will definitely have a good sleep. One more tip that I would like to share is now you're using the chin mudra, right? Thumb touching the index finger. So if all of you can sit in chin mudra and palm resting on your thighs, just let the eyes be closed and your awareness at the point of touch. Breathing is normal. Just check how the fingers, the thumb and the index finger touching each other, how that point of touch feels. Are you feeling any sensation there? Are you feeling any vibrations there? So when you keep your fingers in chin mudra, after a few seconds or few minutes, you will actually feel the pulse at the point of touch. So just observe that pulse and feel the vibration. So this chin mudra is actually a very useful mudra. It says it's a panacea for sleeplessness. Those who have insomnia, instead of popping pills, just do chin mudra. If you can do it for 15 minutes every day and see how it is. And I've got even my students coming back to me saying that, yes, Vijaya, thanks for telling us to do chin mudra for 15 minutes every day. Now I don't have to take a sleeping pill. I can sleep, very peacefully.
Actually, yes, this chin mudra really works wonders because sometimes I personally, there are a lot of events happening in Yoga Bharati. My mind is running about the future, about the planning, because I am a very big planner. So many action items running in your brain, and when you want to go to sleep, all these action items starts wandering in the mind. And at that time, I always nowadays what I have observed that just before sleeping, I also ensure that maybe I read for some time instead of watching a screen. So sometimes the screen also stimulates your brain. So people, having insomnia, they should not be okay watching the screens. First of all, having TV in the bedroom is the most deadliest thing. So I never encourage that. And because you want to watch the TV, watch some news channel or some or serials or something, and after that you go to sleep, then what happens? The mind is still in an activated state. It takes a long time to kind of settle down. So maybe reading a book or something, and or maybe listening to soft music, or maybe washing your legs with some water, having maybe a warm bath, or having a warm glass of milk during winter time. So these all helps in calming the nervous system, along with this chin mudra and the mindful breathing. It works wonders. Each person have their favorites. I have seen even uh, some people rubbing castor oil under the feet, because that, or the brahmi oil, because it helps to also calm down. So I'm sure the participants here who are there, they've got a lot of tips, whether the chin mudra, the mindful breathing, or whatever tips I told. So let's move on to that.
Yeah, see, Prabha, see now in the Bhagavad Gita, as well as, Swami Vivekananda's teachings, they talk about the 4 streams of yoga. So we have talked about the Jnana Yoga, we have talked about the Karma Yoga, how your activity should be. We also said Raj Yoga is all about your asana practices, right? So one more, the stream of yoga is about the Bhakti Yoga, right? Here they say Bhakti Yoga is very important because it is helping us to manage our emotions. So would you like to talk something about that? How do you manage your emotions?
It's a very interesting thing. Actually, recently I've been reading a lot about these emotions here. And there is a very nice concept called as Arishad Vargas, where, and it covers a lot of emotions, negative emotions, and maybe what could be the positive emotions also, maybe in other texts also. And you would have seen very clearly in our prayer itself, Ma with Vishavahi.
Yeah.
So there need not be any hatred. So why is the prayer also asking about this in our way of living is we need to understand what negative emotions we are having. Either we might have this excessive desire or karma towards anything. People always think karma is only lust. What Ravana had towards Sita is all as karma. But karma is not that. It could be an excessive desire, an obsession towards attaining something. So it could be anything. A child is always thinking about having a Lego piece. My son might be always, talking about the Lego piece till he gets it. Once he gets it, then the attention goes to some other thing. So it could be krodha, the anger part, excessive anger. It could be arrogance, ahankara. Ahankara, the mada, that the intoxication when you are angry itself is a deadly emotion sometimes.
Yes,
and sometimes actually over the turn it hurts us also and brings about hatred. And then there is a thing called, very beautiful thing about greed. And people think that, no, I'm very generous. I do charity. So, but there is a greed in sharing knowledge. There is a greed in wanting everything, hoarding everything yourself. So that itself, it's a kind of an emotion, to say, very beautiful. And there is a thing called jealousy, matsarya. So this made me reflect upon that. Sometimes when we hear other people getting appreciated, other people getting which we think that they don't deserve it but they get it, there is a kind of a small kind of a jealousy feeling cropping inside. So when we are aware of these negative emotions, Vijaya, one thing we need to understand is these emotions come always. They will keep coming in. So I cannot say I have overcome all my emotions, Vijaya, all my negative. No, there are points in time I get angry. There are points in time I have this jealousy. So, but immediately understanding that, oh, I'm being mindful that, oh, I'm taking a step back and saying, hey, am I being jealous of this person? She's getting a lot of appreciation and I'm not receiving anything. Or maybe, I'm not confident of myself. Oh, I'm getting angry. I could feel the heat coming in and I'm lashing at that person because that person is lashing at me. So I want to hurt that person. So there are so many negative emotions. Would you like to talk also something about?
Yeah. See, so that is where the path of Bhakti Yoga comes. So normally Bhakti means people say that, oh, I go to the temple and pray, or I do my puja every day, and they think that he's doing the Bhakti path. But what has been said is Narada has given us a beautiful sutra called the Narada Bhakti Sutra, in which he says that Bhakti means Parama Prema Rupa, the highest form of love, where you feel that you are that love. You are giving that love without expecting anything in return. So that is what is Bhakti. And they say that when you follow Bhakti, you actually can manage your emotions well. Here I remember a very beautiful song by Saint Tyagaraja. He says that తెలియలేదు రామ భక్తి మార్గమును తెలియలేదు Rama. So he's talking to Rama, saying that I don't know what the path of bhakti is. Can you tell me? Okay, so here what the path of bhakti they say is Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to a higher reality. The higher reality could be your, Ishta Devata, your Kula Devata, or just the divine. Yeah, you look at the nature, the vastness of nature, right? So we feel that we are so small compared to that vastness. So can we expand ourselves? So that is what bhakti is all about. Yeah, so when we do that Ishvara Pranidhana, what happens? The grace is always there. So surrendering what? Just surrendering that there is a higher reality. Don't carry the burden. Just surrender that there is a higher reality who knows what is happening. And he knows what is good for us. So again, Tyagaraja, in another beautiful song, he says that Rama Bhakti Samrajyam Rama Bhakti. So he says that Rama Bhakti, when I have that devotion towards Rama, I feel as if I've got the whole kingdom. Yeah, so that is what the Bhakti Marga is. So here the ego is not there. You are all that loving person, that compassion inside. You feel that. And that is the way to Bhakti, and that is the way to manage your emotions. So here I think let us now give them a simple practice. Yeah. So all of you sit comfortably. Last few minutes. Fingers in chin mudra, eyes gently closed. Watch your breathing. Now you're watching the breathing. In the mind, you're going to chant the Soham mantra. So as you breathe in, hum as you breathe out. Don't be in a hurry. Just watch the breath and continue with the chanting of Soham in the mind. So breathe in, hum, breathe out. So breathe in, hum, breathe out. Continue the Soham chanting for a few rounds. So the path of bhakti is remembering the higher reality, remembering the divinity. And very beautifully in the Indian culture, they say there are different bhavas. You continue with the Soham chanting and just listen. There are different bhavas. So you could treat the higher reality as if you're a servant to the higher reality, Dasya Bhava, or your friend, you're a Sakha to the higher reality, how Sudama felt about Krishna, or Vatsalya Bhava, how Yashoda felt about Krishna. So these are the different bhavas that one could cultivate to ensure that you manage your emotions beautifully. Now let us end the session. Let us all, together. I want all of you to join. We'll end the session with a simple bhajan. You can clap, you can put our beats. Yeah, so.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll start. I'll say and then you all repeat, okay? The children also can join if the children are there. It's one of my also favorite song, as well as in the kids camp, it's a favorite song. Bam bam bola, 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 re, bola.
Bam bam bola, 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 re, bola.
Bam bam bola, 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 re, bola. Repeat.
Bam bam bola, 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 re, bola.
Nataraja, 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 re, bola.
Nataraja, 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 re, bola,
bam bola, bam 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 bam bola, re, bola.
Mrityunjaya, 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 Mrityunjaya. Re ho bola.
Mrityunjaya, 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 Mrityunjaya. Abola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola.
Bam bam bola, bam bam bola,
Bam bola re.
re ho bola, bam bam 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 bola, re ho bola.
Neelakanta, 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 Neelakanta re. Abola.
Neelakanta, 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 re ho bola.
Bam bola, bam 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 bam bola re. Abola.
Bholenatha, 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 re ho bola, Bholenatha.
Bholenatha, 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 Bholenatha re. Abola, bam bam
Bam bam
bola,
bola, bam bam 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 bola, re ho bola, bam bam bola.
bam bam bola, 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 bam bam bola re.
Bola, bam bam 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 bola re bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola re bola, bam bola, bam
bola, bam
bam
bola,
bam
bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam bola, bam bam.
bam bola re bola.
All of you gently keep your eyes closed. Enjoy the feeling of ecstasy. You feel so joyful after this bhajan. Gently join your palms together to Namaskara. Feel the touch of the palms, the finger joint, fingertips. Repeat the prayer after me. Many of you might not know the prayer. First, let's chant one Om. Inhale. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः.
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु.
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्.
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्.
Together, Om
शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
May everyone be happy. Niramayaha, that is, may no one be having any health problems, any disease. May we see everything auspicious around us. Let there be peace everywhere. Om, peace, peace. Gently bow down and surrender to the higher consciousness, to the higher reality. Be grateful for this wonderful day. Accept everything around you. Be in the role of acceptance, either of people, either of the situation. Inhale, come up and rub your palms well, still keeping your eyes closed. Rub your palms, generate warmth, and place your palms on top of your eyes and pass the warmth to your eyes and feel the calmness there, the warmth there, and gently blink open your eyes. Thank you all. I hope you all, had a good, takeaway session here. Hope you all enjoyed the session. This is our first talk show. Do you have any?
Thank you. Thank you, Prabha. Yeah, it was a good conversation that we had. So hope everybody enjoyed it. So thank you, Dhanyavada, for having patiently listened to us. Thank you.
We will leave the session. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.